Hello, I'm Josiah Ward, writer, director, producer and star of 20,160 Minutes. I have my red whiteboard pen at the ready. I'm ready to mucky up my laptop. This is Notes on the Scene.
We're just going to fill this board with quotes. What I want people to say in my wake. You know, I want to be remembered.
The fuck you scene. So this is a series I made over lockdown, where I played two of the same character. Jacob here on the left, wearing red, and other Jacob, known colloquially as OJ, wearing green. What does it all mean? I don't know, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. Of course, it maybe would have made more sense for OJ to wear orange or be an unconvicted murderer, but alas, hindsight is 2020 in filmmaking.
Jacob was a nice man. Right? Jacob was a good man.
So red, of course, connotes anger, love, passion, a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings. By this point in the story, Jacob has been on his own for about a week. He's sort of concocted this other version of himself to chat to, although he's just ended up belittling him. OJ, on the other hand, wears green, which of course connotes grass, the Incredible Hulk, the River Thames on a good day. Three vastly different things, which is supposed to symbolise the poly-personality of the guy, the polynality. He doesn't really have any kind of fixed thoughts or fixed feelings on things. He changes his mind on subjects every other sentence. He's basically there just to disagree with Jacob. OJ is intended as a symbol of human imperfection and the imperfection of humanity as a whole. I also own a green bomber jacket.
Jacob was listening to Obladi Oblada 200 times in a row and he broke up with it.
Obladi Oblada is a song by a little band called the Rosebuddies. They mainly make kids' music, but they do do some good songs as well. Not many views on YouTube though, so it was nice to support the little guys and feature their song quite heavily throughout the show.
That's impossible, and you made it happen.
So depth of shot is obviously very important in filmmaking. It basically means that you're not just watching a still image, there's just lots going on. And the positioning of the camera was very much determined by the fact that it's filmed directly through a laptop, so it had to basically stay static for the entire shoot. So the depth is created by something that's technically called blocking, which is a fancy word for positioning, which is a fancy word for moving. So that blocking is determined by the actors. Here we've got Jacob on the left hand side. He's closer to the camera, thus the audience, he demands relatability. We've got OJ on the right. He is distant, he is further away from the camera. He actually looks smaller, but OJ is actually the same height as Jacob. That's the beauty of film. He is further away from the camera, thus the audience. He is distant, he is smaller, he is more pathetic, he's nothing.
Obladi Oblada. Life goes on. Huh? What could it go on sooner? 5 lessons maybe. Instead of 200.
Some people have criticised my acting in this film, but I do refute that. I did actually go to RADA on a school trip in year 5, and I learnt a lot. I met Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she was there at the time, and I told her I wanted to be an actor, and she said, "You never will until you get more confident." And 14 years later, here I am. I believe in myself more than anyone in the world believes in themselves. And if somebody tells me they don't think I'm a very good actor, I'll cry.
I just miss my friends and my family.
So the title of this episode is A Scrunched Up Balloon, and that is referenced here by Jacob's face, reminiscent of a scrunched up balloon. He hasn't cried yet in this series, and he feels a bit like an alien, a bit like a robot for doing so. So he's sort of forcing a cry now, even though he's not actually doing it. What are you doing?
I'm crying!
Are you? Look like a scrunched up balloon. So I wrote this scene, and of course one of the first rules of screenwriting is that you don't actually write what the characters are thinking, because that's not what real people do, and it takes away any kind of enigma or intrigue or metaphor with what the characters are talking about. For example, in this scene, Jacob is actually thinking about how he really wants to eat a Twix right now. Specifically a white chocolate Twix. He once saw one of his old housemates storing them in the fridge, and he was very sort of perplexed but intrigued and wanted to eat them. But he hasn't yet, and he's fully regretting not stocking up on any before lockdown. Other Jacob, on the other hand, he's thinking about a fart he once did at his ex-girlfriend's house. He's normally very good about this kind of thing. He doesn't fart much, and he kind of masks himself around other people. But in this instance, it just slipped out, and it was the most vile and disgusting thing he's ever smelled in his entire life. And even to this day, he still feels embarrassed by it. But also, he finds it a little bit funny. That's reflected in the performance here. As you can see, he's quite confused, a bit embarrassed, a little bit disgusted maybe. But there is just a hint of a smile in there, which really does paint a picture. And the fact that you wouldn't know that until I just told you now really is a sign of great acting.
Wait quotes then.
I don't want to.
Oh, you should.
All you say and do is the opposite to me.
That's not true.
Those astute observers among you may notice that the eyeline is actually missing between these two characters in this scene. Some people might put that down to amateurish filmmaking, but I can confirm that every single minute detail has been deliberate and is planned in this whole series. For example, the eyeline is missing between these two characters because they literally cannot see eye to eye. Though, of course, art is open to interpretation and anybody should be allowed to think whatever they want about anything. If anyone is to think any differently about this scene, they are wrong.
Well, let's do wait quotes then. Yeah, that's pressing. Just have an original thought.
So I, like a lot of filmmakers, like to work in triangles. Triangles are what gives a scene depth, and it means that every single bit of a shot is interesting to look at for an audience. And for example, in this scene we've got Jacob on the left of the triangle, and we've got OJ on the right. In fact, we've got a triangle underneath his arm as well, triangle there. Triangle Jacob as well. Triangle on the TV. Triangle in the closet just there. A little bit on the bed. Basically triangles everywhere, but that makes the shot interesting. And if an audience member finds themselves disinterested or disengaged in the material, then they've probably got something wrong with them. But the main triangle here, so I would say Jacob on the left, OG on the right, and we've also got this whiteboard pen just here that's the focal point of this current triangle. This scene particularly is about political ideologies. We have Jacob on the left in red, which of course connotes his liberal ideologies. OJ wearing green, which is also liberal, but in a way where he thinks he's better than everybody else. But then we've got the pen. Jacob is holding a blue pen, which connotes his mixed feelings at the moment. He doesn't really know who he is, what he thinks. He's going through a bit of an identity crisis, and the stark contrast of the red and blue is supposed to connote that in this triage of...
Or let me do something without thinking. I do that all the time. Oh, fuck you. I just want to be friends, man. Oh, let's be friends then. Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Each episode in this series took a full day to film. So effectively in this episode, I'm just shouting fuck you at myself for a whole day. Goodness knows what my housemate thought. I wouldn't, because she doesn't talk to me.
How are you getting there? I don't want to. Oh, fine then. Oh, fine, okay. Fuck you! Fuck you!
So this series was quite improvised. I made up a lot of it as I went along. But I did decide quite early on that I wanted to shout fuck you at myself repeatedly, because who wouldn't?
You get in there, and I'll tell you when it's time for us to have a conversation, and it'll be never. Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
The northern fuck you was actually a reference to my vaguely northern roots. I come from Nottingham originally, and though regrettably / thankfully I don't have much of an accent, I do like to hark back to my roots in all of my work.
Well, there's plenty for me to have a conversation with.
So this is my actual kind of setup for, this is my actual laptop, so it's my actual setup for conference calls, video calls and whatnot. It's the angle. As you can see, the room is very beige. It's beige. It's beige, beige, beige. Everywhere just kind of beige. Nothing, blah, blah, white, beige. Even the red's a bit beige. Make it redder. Beige, beige, beige. And this is just it's a symbol of the emptiness in Jacob's life. You know, it's void, it's blank, it's nothing. He's trying to fill it, but also this is for the audience. You know, this is the audience's film. They like make your own adventure book. That the room is so blank and Jacob is so blank that you can attach yourself to either. Attach your bedroom to the room. Attach yourself to Jacob. You are Jacob. We are all Jacob. We are all in this film. This is our film.
Right. How about you, Mr. Tape? Yeah? What's that?
They say actors embody their roles, and for ages I just thought that was kind of dumb. But now, having been an actor, I completely understand it. I heard that tape talk to me during that scene. Quite an assertive voice. The kind of voice that commands respect, but you can also just hang out and be friends with them. Hence why Jacob couldn't turn down the opportunity to listen to the adhesive.
Well,
Well, that seems an appropriate time for me to stop talking. I'm Josiah Ward, writer, director, producer, star, and editor of 20,160 Minutes. I forgot to say editor before, but put it in post. But no, that was Notes on a Scene, and I hope you all learned something today, like I didn't. And if you fancy watching someone having a mental breakdown, playing someone having a mental breakdown, then check out 20,160 Minutes on YouTube. This was Notes on a Scene.